Lopez Adobe. Lopez Adobe, located at 1100 Pico Street in San Fernando, California, is one of the two oldest private residences in the San Fernando Valley. Built by early settlers of the San Fernando Valley a short distance from the San Fernando Mission, it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1971. The grand reopening of the property occurred on March 22, 2015, and is now open for public tours once every fourth Sunday of the month from 12 minutes 4 p.m. Geronimo and Catalina Lopez. Geronimo Lopez had served as an army messenger in 1847 for Andres Pico during the Mexican-American War, delivering the Articles of Capitulation to General John C. Fremont that ended the war in southern Alta California. Catalina Lopez had grown up at the Mission San Fernando Rey de España, where her father once served as major domo. Lopez Station. Lopez Adobe. 19th century. Between 1882 and 1883, the Lopez family built a larger adobe using 24 by 6-inch sun-baked blocks. The surviving adobe home was built by Valentin Lopez, Geronimo's cousin and brother-in-law. It was the first two-story adobe built as a residence in the San Fernando Valley. It is considered the city of San Fernando's oldest standing building. It has been recognized for its blend of Mission Revival and Victorian architectural styles. Catalina Lopez designed the residency's Victorian features. The first local newspaper, the San Fernando Times, was printed in April 1889 from the Lopez Adobe. 20th century. Catalina Lopez died in 1918 and Geronimo Lopez died in 1921, at age 90. In 1928, several modifications were made to the house by one of the Lopez daughters, Luisa Lopez Michellonen. The balcony staircase was changed and some rooms were divided to form apartments. Modern plumbing and electrical fixtures were also added at the time. The original shake shingle roof was also replaced by clay tile roof. Members of the Lopez family continued living in the adobe until 1961. The last Lopez to live in the adobe was another daughter, Kate Lopez Millen, who lived in an upper apartment from 1931 until shortly before her death in 1961. The property remained in the Lopez family until 1971. Purchased by the city of San Fernando. The city of San Fernando announced plans to purchase the property from the Lopez family in 1970, but took more than a year to come up with the $70,000 purchase price. Plans to obtain a HUD grant fell through, and in early 1971, the owners imposed a deadline on the purchase and indicated the building would be razed and the land cleared. When the adobe was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in May 1971, HUD finally agreed to provide a $40,000 historical preservation grant, and the purchase was completed in late 1971. Funding and operation as a museum. The building was restored between 1974 and 1975 and opened as a historical site in 1975. The adobe is operated by the San Fernando Historical Site and Preservation Commission. Funding difficulties hampered the city's plans to fully renovate the property and to operate it as a full-time museum and tourist attraction. The adobe was operated by volunteers and was initially open only 3 days a week. That was later reduced to 1 Sunday per month. In 1983, the adobe's volunteer curator, Carolyn Riggs, noted, "Unfortunately, the city is so small that it can barely support its school, fire, and police systems. There is just no money to support it except for what we have scraped together." In 1982, more than 100 descendants of the Lopez family gathered at the adobe. Geronimo and Catalina Lopez had 13 children, 9 of whom survived to adulthood. Historic significance and designation as historic site. Though the city of San Fernando is the oldest town in the San Fernando Valley, the Lopez Adobe is all that remains of its early years. The authors of an architectural guidebook to Los Angeles observed, the one remaining shred of the Victorian period is the Geronimo Lopez Adobe 1878 at the northwest corner of Pico Street and Maclay Avenue. It is two-story Monterey style with some pretty queen and sawed gingerbread across the gallery. Otherwise, all signs of the old town have disappeared. In the book, Historic Adobes of Los Angeles County, the author also makes note of the woodwork along the balconies. One of the striking features of the house is that the upper and lower stories have verandas with hand-cut wooden railings and a jigsaw pattern balustrade, which is painted in a turquoise blue. This beautiful house is furnished to reflect the period between 1945. At the time, the Los Angeles Times reported, its architecture is Spanish California adobe, a two-story structure with overhanging balcony and outside stairway. It is the only remaining building of old San Fernando. In 1968, the building was registered with the State of California Office of Historic Preservation. In 1971, the adobe was listed on the National Register of Historical Places. Closure following Northridge earthquake. The adobe was damaged in the 1994 Northridge earthquake and was closed for 3 years while repairs were made. Repairs were delayed when officials from the Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA disputed the city's $230,000 estimate of repair costs and seismic upgrades. In April 1996, FEMA and city officials finally agreed on quake repair funding of approximately $100,000, considerably less than the nearly $200,000 eventually spent on the work. City funds covered the rest of the cost. Recent years. The adobe reopened in December 1997 with a ceremony that included seasonal songs, Mexican dances, and the lighting of the town Christmas tree. In 2003, Congressman Howard Berman DCA obtained $150,000 in federal funding for the historic preservation of the Lopez Adobe. Berman said at the time, "I pursued this funding because the Lopez Adobe is a national treasure and deserves federal money to help with its preservation. This historic building is a source of pride for the city of San Fernando and the entire San Fernando Valley. I am pleased to play a role in helping to save it." As of 2004, at that time, the adobe was open on the fourth Sunday of the month from 1 to 4 p.m. Despite years of fundraising efforts, the city and preservation groups had managed at that time to collect only half of the $750,000 needed to restore the Lopez Adobe. This lack of funding prevented the property from being open for tours to the public from 2007 to 2015. The grand reopening of the property occurred on March 22, 2015, and is now open for public docent-led tours once every fourth Sunday of the month from 12 to 4 p.m.